Most people think that loot boxes should just go away very quickly and forever, right? Especially in the case of Star Wars Battlefront 2, which had its microtransactions frozen amidst all the controversy. Well, it turns out there might actually be a chance that EA will never, ever turn them back on.
In an update to the ongoing controversy surrounding EA, Star Wars Battlefront and microtransactions, EA CFO Blake Jorgensen has said loot boxes might not return to the game after all. After temporarily turning off the microtransactions in Battlefront 2, EA said they would eventually return to the game, but only after changes had been made to the game's progression system. But at the 37th Nasdaq Investor Conference this week, Jorgensen was asked about the backlash EA has received and how they're responding to it. And he said this, quote, "We turned the microtransactions off as an opportunity to work on the progression system inside the game."
Bullshit.
Pretty good.
I was going to say something about
Some top analysis there. And this is the important part of the quote. "Over time, we'll address how we will want to bring the microtransactions either into the game or not, and what form we will decide to bring it into." Jorgensen also said he believes the controversy will be a learning experience for EA. He said, quote, "If we're not learning, that means we're failing in some way, and we're constantly trying to watch what people do and how they play and listen to them to decide what's the best way to build great games." What's happened though, mate, is that you have failed and learn. So they're not mutually exclusive. You're only learning now because you failed so much. That's what's happened there.
What's with the quote overtime? Maybe it's because they produce so many sports games and like overtime is a sports term. I think it was misquoted in Glixel. To be honest, to be fair to Blake Jorgensen, he needs credit for something. I don't think he meant overtime, but he's kind of implying that they only turned them off to work on the progression. Nothing to do with all the uproar or anything to do with that, though.
It kind of felt like a bit of a slip, that's the thing. It's kind of said, whether we switch them on or not. That's just kind of fallen out of his mouth almost. Like, I don't think this was meant to be an announcement or anything. It's just kind of a bit of a slip there. Are they actually considering taking them out? That's huge if true. And it also seems like a no-brainer. Yes, take them out. Take them out. That's the best thing that you could do now. This would be like such a U-turn for you, like in PR and everything. It'd be huge if you did that. Just f***ing do it.
Do it! Just do it! Also in the news, Dying Light, the open-world zombie parkour game, is getting a Battle Royale mode. Developer Techland issued a press release on December the 7th announcing the news, saying it was in response to numerous fan requests for a player-versus-player approach to Dying Light. The new standalone expansion, Dying Light Bad Blood, which is due out on currently unannounced platforms in 2018, will, quote, offer violent and dynamic online matches that blend PvP and PvE styles of gameplay. Techland producer Timon Smektala said, quote, our aim is both to satisfy players' demands for competitive PvP gameplay and to explore new directions for Dying Light's multiplayer experience. Techland will host a closed global playtest for the new mode, which PC players can register to join now.
You can register now, you can't actually play it now. Yeah, I don't think so anyway. Very interesting that they say a blend of PvP and PvE, which indicates that the zombies will be in there. I mean, what else is it going to be? So it's going to be a free-for-all battle royale situation with zombies. So that's interesting, right?
That's interesting, right? I think it could be quite fun, like the smoke zone or the out of bounds area in PUBG. If they had like just a horde of zombies, wall of zombies, like gradually getting smaller and smaller, that could be visually quite cool. So it's
terrifying.
Yeah, it's a new ingredient to the mix of Battle Royale, which everyone's jumping on the trend for now. It probably might be good. I mean, it was a good game, right?
Yeah. The base Dying Light game, for sure. It's kind of got this cult following as well, where it's kind of people saying with these expansions that it's had since it came out that it's actually maybe the best zombie game ever, and that's kind of not really come across in the reviews and stuff because that's only developed over time afterwards. So that's interesting. I think definitely having the zombies in that cloud thing would be awesome, much better than just blue smoke. What is the blue smoke? It's just blue. Don't worry about it. It's going to kill you. It's just blue stuff.
It's just coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Just
get away from it.
Run.
Also this week, 2K Games has been criticised by fans for removing in-game shirts from NBA 2K18's storefront. According to the NBA community on Reddit and YouTube, 2K has started removing shirts with copyrighted designs like logos and so on. They also removed them from players' inventories though, without prior notice or warning. The shirts, which can be worn in the game's street basketball mode, are designed by the community. And if they receive over 100 votes from other players, the creator can sell their designs to other players who buy them using NBA's in-game currency, VC, which literally is virtual currency. Virtual currency can be earned in-game by completing matches, finishing challenges, and and reaching in-game milestones. But importantly, it can also be bought using real-world money, which is what fans are angry about.
Because the shirts contain copyrighted content, like the Superman logo for example, 2K don't actually have any legal right to allow the sale of the shirts. But players who have bought the shirts using VC are reporting that although 2K have removed the shirts from their inventory, they have not been refunded the VC they used to buy the shirts. One player told Kotaku he managed to get a refund of 10,000 VC, which is the price of about 3 shirts. But he had bought 10 shirts at 3,500 VC each, so he was still out of pocket. At the time of recording, 2K have yet to comment on the removal of the shirts from the game and whether or not they will give everyone who bought them a refund.
So we are recording this on Thursday, so by the time this video goes out, hopefully it has been resolved. But at the time we're recording, it hasn't, and the fact that it's happened in the first place is quite shocking.
Shady as shit is what it is. Yeah, you're buying something. All right, it's a virtual item. Just stop buying these virtual items, people. I mean, the fact that they can take them off you it's so bad. Like, what other industry can someone just take something that they've bought back off you and say, nah, sorry, dude, you're just not having it? And no refund. Like, there's no recourse. There's no, there's no protection for consumers in this. Like, why is it all right in the gaming industry that they can do this? Like, who do you go to now? Like, what watchdogs are there? Do you know what I mean? Who's your fallback? Nobody.
Just trying to explain what the shirts actually are is difficult. I mean, they are digital shirts with art designed by other players, but that art was copyrighted to other things like McDonald's and Superman and whatever, so they have to be removed by 2K. That's kind of 2K's got to do that, but then that someone has bought that design and they maybe have spent real world money on it, and now they've lost that money, and 2K have just chucked them some money back, regardless of whether or not it's the right amount of money, according to what these players are saying.
It should be easy to administer the refunds, since they don't have to lose out. They don't have to be out of pocket at all to give them refunds, because it's a virtual item. It doesn't exist. So they just take the shirt back, give the money, no harm, no foul. They can't even get that right.
Elsewhere, Creative Assembly, the developers behind the Total War series, have issued a surprisingly frank statement about the slower than anticipated development of Total War Warhammer. In a blog post on their website, the studio wrote about the ambitious Mortal Empires campaign, which combines the maps from the first and second Total War Warhammer games into one kind of mega map. In the post, Creative Assembly said, quote, "Mortal Empires has not been as smooth for all players as it should have been, and we feel some explanation is in order." Brand director Rob Bartholomew said adding the Norska faction to Mortal Empires has caused the team a ton of problems. To create the Mortal Empires campaign, Creative Assembly had been merging content from the first game into the framework of the second, and this is what they had planned to do for the Norska faction as well. But according to Creative Assembly, this plan turned out to be, quote, bollocks.
Apparently, the improvements the team made to the game engine in Total War Warhammer 2 meant the data from Total War Warhammer 1 would have to undergo significant changes to ensure compatibility. Quote, "The first attempt to integrate Norska in the routine way caused an immediate tsunami of bugs. We smacked our heads against it, realised it was unsolvable in a short span, and had to back out. The team then admitted it would probably be easier to recreate the Norska faction for Total War Warhammer 2 than port them over from the first game, which means development had slowed to a crawl." Quote, "And so we add one more thing to the long list of dumb mistakes we're never going to make again."
You can't help but kind of admire the tone of this. I like when people are just blatantly honest, brutally honest, rather, of what they've done, and they've just said, well, this didn't work. Sorry, everyone. I quite like that, and I don't like things being kind of mysterious and people left wondering what's going on. So this is exactly exemplary kind of community management, actually. This is how it should be done.
It is. Owning your mistakes, it is great. And all the developers out there these days that come out and say, oh, development is hard, and they don't give you any specifics.
Yeah,
tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell us what the problem is. And then they've said here, and if you read the blog post or the interview in more detail, they say that they could have just fixed it. They could have just done what a modder does and just fixed it. But as soon as they introduce more content on top of that, it would completely break what the patch or the fix would have been. So going into great detail like that, it's refreshing. It's nice to hear these stories, because we haven't got a clue what goes on and the problems that they face. The fact that they've been upfront and saying we're never going to make this mistake again, it's a dumb mistake and it was bollocks, it's great. Well done, Creative Assembly.
And finally in the news, after being on the market for 2 years, Ubisoft's online shooter Rainbow Six Siege has reached over 25 million unique registered players. When it first launched back in 2015, critics took issue with the lack of content in Siege, which at the time included only one multiplayer mode, no campaign, and barely any maps. Ubisoft have since updated the game with 2 seasons worth of content content, and Siege is about to enter its 3rd season now. Alexandre Remy, Siege's brand director, said, quote, "Player investment has been core to the success of the game, with longevity being always very important to us. As the game progressed, we continue to develop it with community in mind." Yeah, so this is one of Ubisoft's kind of big success stories, I suppose, isn't it? It's what people throw back to, and it's kind of almost been a model for what they want to do in the future. They tried to do something like this with For Honor, kind of maybe hasn't worked out as well, but in Rainbow Six Siege it definitely has, because there's 25 million people playing it. That's, well, registered users anyway. That's crazy numbers. Well done.
So we might never have to mention microtransactions and Battlefront 2 in the same sentence ever again. Maybe. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here, check out another video on the screen right there. Support us on Patreon if you're awesome. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.